Thank you, Pam. The deaths now, 120 a day from overdose. Heroin deaths have tripled in just, 4 or 5 years? Tripled. Heroin overdose deaths, and fentanyl is a part of that, which I'm learning from law enforcement is worse a problem than I understood. So we'll continue to work on it. My view is that crime does follow drugs. In the 70s and 80s, we saw so many lives destroyed by drug abuse. And I think the drugs today are more powerful, they're more addictive, and they can destroy even more lives. Young people have their lives destroyed. I, as you know, am dubious about marijuana. As states, can pass whatever laws they choose, but I'm not sure we're going to be a better, healthier nation than if we have marijuana being sold at every corner grocery store. I just don't think that's going to be good for us, and we'll have to work our way through that. I see a line in the Washington Post today that I remember from the 80s. This one was, if you smoke, marijuana is a cure for opiate abuse. Give me a break. I mean, this is the kind of argument that has been made out there to just almost a desperate attempt to defend the harmlessness of marijuana or even its benefits. I doubt that's true. Maybe science will prove I'm wrong, but at this point in time, you and I have a responsibility to use our best judgment, that which we've learned over a period of years, and speak truth as best we can. My best view is that we don't need to be legalizing marijuana. Thank you so much. It's an honor to, thank you. It's a real honor for me to be with you and to be back in this association. I was just remembering I've paid my dues sporadically over the years, but George, I got a check here. You fill it out and I'll sign it. I need to get back in this group, I got to tell you. I remember one of the meetings we had, I don't know, Philadelphia or somewhere, and we were after hours talking, and you learn things in these meetings. And one of the people said, well, if you're going to run for another office, run early. Well, I had just gotten elected Attorney General, and Howell Heflin had just announced he wasn't running again. So I thought about that. And then next few days later, I'm taking my walk back home in Alabama, and this guy jogs past me, and he says, hey, Jeff, run now while they still like you, which is kind of, it's a tough job you have, right? I mean, you do your duty every day, and some people don't like it, and some people like it, and there's just no choice to do the right thing best you can and try to make the legal system work. We have the most remarkable, wonderful legal system the world has ever known. I truly believe that. And I had the opportunity to practice before federal judges a lot more than I did state when I was Attorney General for only 2 years. I just came to value it. And somehow, some way, we muddle through all the disagreements and disputes and the cases that we handle, and the system stands strong. I do believe strongly that words have meaning and laws should be enforced as they're written, and we should try to be consistent in application of law, and that equal justice under law is an absolute critical thing for this country, and we need to maintain that ideal. Having traveled around the world as part of the Armed Services Committee and seen us attempt to help other countries have legal systems, and those attempts not be very successful, it's just driven home to me how blessed we are to have this heritage of law that we've been able to build on. There were jury trials in the colonies before the Revolution. John Adams defended British soldiers before the Revolution. So we inherited this, and we built on it, and the most sophisticated commercial cases, the most simple and violent crimes can be tried pretty effectively, and we have to maintain that in my view. Well, I think I'll just chat with you. I've got a nice speech here, but maybe we can just chat. I may lose my voice anyway before it's over. I've had a hard time. I became a assistant United States attorney in 1975. And crime had been increasing for 2 decades. And it was just, drugs were increasing dramatically. 50% of high school seniors had acknowledged they'd used an illegal drug that year, according to the University of Michigan authoritative study. And this was a bad trend. And the mentality was nothing much could be done about it. Prisons made people worse. Prosecutions and crime were not effective, that criminals were victims, and the victims were victims, and the police were victims, and everybody was a victim. There wasn't much we could do about it. And then we began to confront this situation because the people became so concerned about it. Burglar bars and burglar alarms on everybody's homes, never been done before. People never locked their doors before in the 50s. And so this was a big change. And we began to focus on how to improve law enforcement. It's something I've just kind of watched. I've had an interest in over the years. And it took some time, maybe 20 years, but the murder rate was half in America than what it had been. Drug use was down among kids. We had prevention programs in every community, and many of you and I spent a lot of my time working, trying to create a message of the danger of illegal drugs. And the crime does tend to follow drug use. If anybody's observed history, they know that's true. And so we made progress. And then we got better policing techniques. The New York, still incredibly effective reversal of the crime rate in New York City. Community-based policing, broken windows, and all those new techniques that came along that put police in the streets out there doing the things that are necessary. But now we are at a time, it seems to me, and crime is going back up again. Overall crime rate increased last year 3.5%. One of the bigger increases since 1991. Murder rate was up 10.8% nationwide. And as you've seen in the papers, and the Wall Street Journal had a big article about it, certain major cities are seeing really dramatic increases in murder rates. Chicago, Baltimore, here New Orleans. And so lots of this out there that's driving a sense that we're in danger. I say that we need to return to the ideas that got us here, the ideas that reduce crime and stay on it. Maybe we even got a bit overconfident when we've seen the crime rate decline so steadily for so long. And many of you have worked on this for years. You've been a part of the movement that's made our cities, counties, and communities safer. And we've saved how many thousands of lives have not been lost? How many thousands of people have not been injured? How many people have not seen their financial situation damaged severely by crime? So we've done a lot of good. We need to not give up on that progress. That is the thing that's concerned me the most. I do not believe, maybe I'm wrong, but I do not believe that this pop in crime, this increase in crime, is necessarily an aberration, a one-time blip. I'm afraid it represents the beginning of a trend. And I think what really concerns me in the bottom of all that is also the increase in drugs in America. So they tend to follow one another. That's what happened in the 60s and 70s, and I think it could happen now. So I think we all have a charge to do better. President Trump issued an order. He doesn't issue modest orders. He said to the Attorney General, he said, the policy of this executive branch is to reduce crime in America. That's a pretty good goal for us. I like that. I'm willing to try to meet that challenge of what we can do. And one of the big things out there that's, I think, causing trouble, and where you see the greatest increase in violence and murders in cities, is somehow, some way, we've undermined the respect for our police and made oftentimes their job more difficult. And it's not been well received by them, and we're not seeing the kind of effective community-based, street-based policing that we found to be so effective in reducing crime, I think. And so the Department of Justice has an absolute duty to ensure that police operate within the law, and if they violate the law, they've committed a crime just as much as any other citizen who commits an assault. And we'll do our duty. I've done that as United States Attorney to prosecute police officers who do wrong. But we need, so far as we can, in my view, help police departments get better, not diminish their effectiveness. And I'm afraid we've done some of that. So we're going to try to pull back on this. And I don't think it's wrong or mean or insensitive to civil rights or human rights. I think it's out of a concern to make the lives of people, in particular the poor communities, minority communities, live a safer, happier life so that they're able to have their children outside and go to school in safety, and they can go to the grocery store in safety and not be accosted by drug dealers and get caught in crossfires or have their children seduced into some gang. So we can do better about this, and that is part of what my thoughts are about this whole situation. The drug thing is big. The President has also given me a direct order to take charge and lead an effort against drug cartels, international drug cartels. And they are growing in strength. And we got so much of it coming right across the Texas border and all across the Mexican border. And we can do better there. We can do better attacking the distribution networks. And we have to start, generally, from my experience as a federal prosecutor, with state and local cases where someone catches a person. It turns out they identify them as a major part of an organization. And then the federal government, DEA, and other agencies have the ability to issue interstate subpoenas and follow up on leads that the local sheriff or police chief can't do. And then we work together to achieve progress. I am fully aware that, 85% of law enforcement in America is state and local. We're not going to fight crime effectively just from Washington, D.C. That is obvious to anybody who can see that the sun is shining. So this is a big deal for us to work together. We have had tremendous partnerships over the years. It started, actually, when I became United States Attorney in 1981, Rudy Giuliani was the associate who had supervision over U.S. attorneys in those days, Associate Attorney General in Washington, and he created the law enforcement coordinating committees, which I'm sure all of you are familiar with, and directed United States attorneys to listen to the local law enforcement community as to what they thought the threats were in their neighborhoods. And La Cosa Nostra wasn't such a big deal in Mobile, Alabama. I don't know about you, but it wasn't that way in Alabama. And so I thought it was an effective plan, and I would like to see that kind of policy enhanced and move forward and restore that. I believe there's nothing wrong legally, morally, or intellectually with a lawful system of immigration that serves the national interest. What's wrong with that? Why shouldn't we aspire to that good goal? And the President has made clear his view on it, and it's been mine for some time. And we're going to make progress about that. And in particular, people who come here unlawfully, who commit crimes, are going to be out of here. The law says they have to be deported, and we're going to insist that that happens. In some of these countries that are refusing to take them back, we have the ability and the power and the legal requirement to confront them and take action against them if they don't take them back. We're housing a lot of people who committed serious crimes, who entered the country unlawfully, who are long since due to be deported. We're holding them because these countries won't take them back. And there's just a lot of things that we can do in that regard. Maybe, George, that we could, I'd love to have any questions that you might have, or really any suggestions you might have as to how this Department of Justice can better serve you and do the things that are necessary. Now, I'll wrap up and just say this. At this point in history, I sense that we could be at a pivotal time. I sense that if we take the right actions now, affirm good, effective, proven law enforcement techniques, we can avoid another long-term surge in crime rates in America. If we don't take that action now, I'm afraid we are going to begin to see those kind of trends continue, maybe even accelerate, and to have a lot of destruction, pain, prison, death in our country that could have been avoided. I value you. I appreciate the leadership you provide to this country and your states. I know that I've been away from it for 20 years, although I've been on the Judiciary Committee for 20 years. And I feel like I've lost some contact with what's really happening out there on the streets today. And if you will work with me, I would be pleased to work with you. I believe we can do some good work for this great republic. Thank you all. God bless.
From AGs only. Thank you.
Anything, comments? Yes, sir.
General Javier Becerra from California, a former member of the House until I was confirmed earlier this year by our Governor Jerry Brown to replace Kamala Harris, who's now a colleague in the Senate, the senator who's here. Thank you for your service. Appreciate your being here. I agree with you that we're not going to be able to fight crime effectively from Washington, D.C., and many of us now have the charge to try to protect the people of our states. I also agree with you when you say that people who commit crimes in this country and who have come into the country unlawfully should be out of here. And so I hope that we're able to continue to work together in that regard. In California, we have seen crime rates drop precipitously since the 80s and 90s, and Los Angeles, San Francisco, Sacramento, big cities have seen that as well. One of the reasons we believe we've been able to succeed in bringing crime down is because we have the cooperation of folks throughout the communities who we need as witnesses, who we need to have cooperate with us when crimes do occur. We are finding, though, that some of the actions that the administration is taking with regard to enforcing immigration laws is causing a lot of fear throughout our state, and people who are here without documents but aren't committing crimes are beginning to fear approaching law enforcement authorities for fear that they may be also apprehended in the process of trying to be witnesses on crimes. And I would urge you to take a look at the process of how, from Washington, D.C., you try to help us provide public safety to our people, because our police and sheriff's departments have developed very strong working relationships with all the neighborhoods throughout the state of California. We'd like to continue to see that, and we'd like to continue the good relationship we've had in the past with the federal government, because we also want to interdict the drugs. We want to stop the human trafficking. We want to make sure that we go after the gangs. But we want to make sure we can do that with the cooperation of everyone in the communities, and we hope we can count on your support.
Thank you. Well, we will certainly work together on that, and we are having some disagreements in certain areas with state and local governments over detainers and those kind of things, which I think we've got to work through. It's just, to me, a shocking thing that we don't have universal respect between law enforcement agencies, where when one has charges, the other turns over the offender to the next jurisdiction to carry out the just punishments. But well, we'll have to wrestle with that. It's going to be I understand the argument that you've made, and we've heard it before. It has certain validity to it. But there are other countervailing arguments and principles that are at work. So I think we will do our best to be clear and firm and fair and responsible in the positions we take. We do not need to have a big brawl between our law enforcement agencies. If we can avoid that, I would be pleased.
We'll look forward to working with you.
Thank you. I'll delay here.
Hey, General Sessions, I saw you yesterday, Pam Bondi. The one thing that I
couldn't
know,
see, Pam, the lights in my eyes.
that light is
from over
crazy.
there.
I know. Thank you. The one thing, General, that I can tell you, I know I can speak for all 56 of us on, is this war on drugs. And thank you for talking about that. Thank you for your commitment to that. And as you know, it's not the old drugs, the cocaine, it's the new heroin in a pill form. It's fentanyl, it's carfentanil. It's the things they're mixing together and putting in Xanax pills and Adderall pills. And we're fighting a new war. And thank you for being our partner on that. And we all look forward to working with you on that, because it's killing our kids, it's killing our citizens every day. And I know you, and I know how tough you're going to be on that. So thank you.
Thank you, Pam. You know, the deaths now, 120 a day from overdose. Heroin deaths have tripled in just, 4 or 5 years? Tripled. Heroin overdose deaths, and fentanyl is a part of that, which I'm learning from law enforcement is worse a problem than I understood. So we'll continue to work on it. My view is that crime does follow drugs. In the 70s and 80s, we saw so many lives destroyed by drug abuse. And I think the drugs today are more powerful, they're more addictive, and they can destroy even more lives. Young people have their lives destroyed. I, as you know, am dubious about marijuana. If states, can pass whatever laws they choose, but I'm not sure we're going to be a better, healthier nation that if we have marijuana being sold at every corner grocery store. I just don't think that's going to be good for us, and we'll have to work our way through that. I see a line in the Washington Post today that I remember from the 80s. This one was, if you smoke, marijuana is a cure for opiate abuse. Give me a break. I mean, this is the kind of argument that has been made out there, to just almost a desperate attempt to defend the harmlessness of marijuana or even its benefits. I doubt that's true. Maybe science will prove I'm wrong, but at this point in time, you and I have a responsibility to use our best judgment, that which we've learned over a period of years, and speak truth as best we can. My best view is that we don't need to be legalizing marijuana, and we need to crack down more effectively on heroin and fentanyl and other drugs. And part of the federal leadership will be drug distribution networks, cartels that threaten the very governments of nations to our south, and less money that they extract out of America, it's sent to their organizations, and less power and less danger they present to their governments and their people, and fewer people that are addicted. I was shocked. Is Mike DeWine here? Hey, Mike DeWine. We sat by each other on the Senate Judiciary Committee for 10 years, and he's a great guy. And he was just telling me not long ago about the amount of the cheapness of heroin in Ohio. I was really surprised how available it is. The New England Journal of Medicine, yes, we have a big prescription drug problem. And I'm telling you, we can do better about that. And anything, if I have any ability to do something about it, we're going to reduce the availability of prescription drugs. That's in some ways easier, I think. But the heroin thing, according to the New England Journal of Medicine, says that the problem we're seeing is more availability, lower price, and higher purity. And that's pretty much a law enforcement thing. More availability, higher purity, and lower price. And that translates into more drug abuse, more heroin abuse if we don't watch it. Mike, good to see you. Thanks for your advice on that and other subjects.
We have time for one more question.
Go ahead, George. Yeah. Are you going to call it? I see this one in the middle.
General Sessions, thanks for being here. Tim Fox from Montana. Recognizing that each state has its uniqueness, if you will, in Montana we have a number of federally recognized and one state recognized Indian reservation. In Indian country, as you know, we have this unique set of jurisdictional issues with sovereign nations. And we have a kind of a hodgepodge, if you will, of criminal jurisdiction. I would just, this is more of an invitation than a question, but I would just invite you to engage those of us who have Indian reservations to discuss how we can do better in Indian country in protecting our citizens and making sure that all levels of government are working hand in hand together appropriately, respecting the sovereignty of our Indian nations to make sure that we're doing our best to keep people safe in Indian country. And I would invite you, if I can be so bold, General Jepsen, to come to Montana for the, this is unabashed here, the summer meeting of the National Association of Attorneys General in Big Sky, Montana on June 20, 21, 22. And while you're there, sir, while you're in Montana, sir, we'd love to visit with you about Indian country and public safety. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a big part, a big challenge for the Department of Justice. It really is. We had one Indian tribe, small tribe in my district, only one in Alabama, and I learned something about the challenges and legal issues. So in going around talking to my colleagues in the Senate prior to confirmation, which didn't do a lot of good for a lot of that, but I listened and said I'd remember what I heard, but I heard a lot about this issue. It really is an issue that hopefully we can do better, and I would seek your advice on it. Let me again thank you for the opportunity to be with you, to tell you that we've announced today the establishment of a federal task force that will bring in the work and advice of all our state and local officials, and this task force will be designed to execute what the President has asked us to do, and that's reduce crime in America, make our communities safer. I think that's a worthy and noble goal. I think there are things we can do that will make a difference. I am not hopeless about it. I don't think it's subject to forces, all of them beyond our control. We can make a difference. I look forward to working with you to make this country safer and appreciate that opportunity. Thank you all.
Thank you, General Sessions, for maintaining the tradition of the U.S. Attorney General coming to visit us with our winter meeting, and as a token of our respect and thanks. There's a box from the National Association of Attorneys General. Yeah, very nice.
Something in it?
Nothing in it.
If you missed any of Attorney General Sessions' remarks,